All right, everybody, we're going to do LA Freeway by Guy Clark. It's kind of challenging. Per usual, I might be a little over meticulous on this one. Sue me. I'm a perfectionist. Just kidding. But this is kind of a tricky one. There's some variations and whatnot that I tried to pick up off of two different arrangements of this tune. The one off his album, Old Number One, and the live version. We're capoed on the 2nd fret here, and I think this is a great tune to kind of celebrate all of Guy Clark's great songwriting abilities and everything that he's contributed to songwriting in general and Americana. So let's run through it and then we'll break it down. Here we go. Pack up all your dishes, make note of all good wishes, say goodbye to the landlord for me. Some of the bitches always bored me. Throw out them LA papers and mold a box of vanilla wafers. Adios to all that concrete. Gonna give me some dirt road back streets. If I can just get off of that LA freeway without getting killed the car, I'd be down the road in a cloud of smoke to some land I ain't bought. Here's a you old skinny Dennis, only one I think I will miss. I can hear that old bass singing, sweet and low like a gift you're bringing. Play for me just one more time now. Got to give it all we can now. I believe everything you're saying. Got to keep on playing. If I can just get off of that LA freeway without getting killed the car, I'd be down the road in a cloud of smoke to some land I ain't bought. Put the pink card in the mailbox, leave the key in the front door lock. They will find it likely as not. Sure there's something we have forgot. Oh Susanna, don't you cry now. Love's a gift that's surely handmade. We've got something to believe in. Don't you think it was time we're leaving? If I can just get off of that LA freeway without getting killed the car, I'd be down the road in a cloud of smoke to some land I ain't bought. If I can just get off of that LA freeway without getting killed the car, I'd be down the road in a cloud of smoke to some land I ain't bought. Pack up all your dishes, make note of all good wishes, say goodbye to the landlord for me. Some of the bitches always bored me. Alright, kind of a tricky tune. And basically what we're learning is an A and a B section, and the intro and the verse are the A section and the chorus is the B section. So once we kind of get a handle on that intro, we're going to know how to do the verse pretty well. And what I'm doing here is I'm using this other camera to focus on my right hand, as you've kind of seen what's been done during the performance with my left, but we'll still continue to go over both hands, and you can see my left in this camera as well. And what I did is I kind of took two different versions of this song, a live version, I believe it was live at McCabe's, but I'm not sure, and his version off of old number one, and tried to mix them together here because it's kind of hard to hear what was going on with old number one because all the overdubs and stuff. But so basically this is kind of a hybrid version of both those. And in both those versions we're capoed up on the 2nd fret. So all the numbers related to frets and whatnot, I'm relating the capo as 0. Alright, so we're going to start off with this first measure, and I'm grabbing this G chord and it sounds like this. And all I'm doing is I'm grabbing my ring finger on the 3rd fret low E string and my pinky on the 3rd fret B string. So I'm not plucking the high string at all. And I'm grabbing my thumb on this bass and I'm pinching these two strings with my index and my middle. Right. So I'm going thumb, pinch, pinch. And then I'm just finishing off that first measure by going thumb, 1, thumb, 1. And in like all my fingerstyle videos, I refer to thumb as T sometimes, or thumb, index as 1 or index, and middle finger as 2 or middle finger, right? So just so you're not confused, so I have thumb, pinch, pinch, thumb, 1, thumb, 1 to start off. And now I have this second measure. And what I'm doing is I'm pulling off this melody note here with my index, 1st fret on the B string. Right, so I'm pulling off 1 to 0 and plucking the bass at the same time. And my thumb and my middle finger are pinching both those strings, strings 6 and 2. Now I'm going to go bass, melody note, bass, melody note, bass, melody note. And it sounds like this, right? So after that pull off, I'm hitting the bass again, then the 2nd fret on the G string, grabbing it with my middle finger in my left hand, using my index to pluck it, then bass again, same string, but open, then bass again, then index finger is going to grab the D string. So it sounds like, and then directly after that, I'm going to grab a C chord. And as I grab that C, I'm only hitting the bass of the C chord with my thumb. And hopefully you can, the momentum of that open D will reside into this 2nd fret on the D string that you grab with the C chord, right? So, okay, so that's our C chord, and I'm putting my pinky down here, my left hand, on the 3rd fret high E. And I'm doing a similar pluck as we saw in that first measure on strings 1 and 2. Right, okay, so that's all I'm doing for the first half of that measure. Once the C hits, then I'm going to do a simple Travis picking pattern. And all I'm grabbing is the 5th string with my thumb, index on the G string, thumb on the D string, middle finger on the high string, and remember I'm grabbing this melody note with my pinky in my left hand. So that whole 3rd measure sounds like this. Right, so far I have Now I'm going to stay on this C chord, and this measure is kind of tricky. It sounds like this. And what I'm doing is I'm starting just with thumb and index on string 5 and 3, so I'm going thumb 1, thumb 1. Now I'm going to lower my middle finger to the high string 2nd fret. I'm going to pinch both string 5 and string 1. Right. So it sounds kind of dissonant there. But then I quickly get rid of my middle finger and play that high string open. Right. So it sounds like so far. Oops, sorry. Then I'm going to grab the bass again with my thumb, and then the third fret on the B string with my pinky. Right? So it sounds like this. And I'm going to let that ring out into the next measure. So this is kind of an odd measure. This fifth measure, I'm still hanging on to the C for a beat. I'm going to do another thumb 1 on string 5 and 3 while this third fret on the B string is ringing out. All right, so it sounds like this into that fifth measure. Now I leave my pinky down in my left hand. I want that same note to ring out, but now I'm going to move the bass down to the third fret on the low string. And then I'm going to thumb pinch again, right? So I go bass, pinch, thumb 1, thumb 1. So it's kind of a weird deal because you're not starting right on the bass in that measure of the G chord. Rather, you're waiting till beat 2. Which is kind of odd, but makes sense when he does it, right? So from the fourth measure to the fifth measure, it sounds like this: 3, 4. Right, okay? So that's kind of the feel we're going for. Now, as far as this next measure, it's the same as the second measure. So just another G chord phrase. And now we have this D7 over F sharp phrase, and it sounds like this. And it's kind of tricky. What we're doing is I'm moving my bass back a half step, and I'm using my middle finger in my left hand to grab that second fret on the low E string. All right, so I'm going to pluck it with my thumb. And now I'm going to hammer on my index finger in my left hand on the B string on the first fret. So I have bass, middle finger in my right? So thumb 2. And now my ring finger in my left hand is going to grab this second fret on the G string. So kind of a finger twister as far as the chord is concerned. And I'm going to pluck that second fret with my index finger in my right hand. So that's how we start off the phrase. Now I'm going to do this, and all I'm doing is I'm plucking both strings again, 2 and 6, and hammering on my index and pulling off. Right, so I'm plucking strings 2 and 6, hammering on and pulling off both those strings. Then I'm going to put my index back down on the first fret, then pinch both those strings one more time, and then grab the second fret on the G string with my ring finger again, right? So I have 3, 4. Oops, sorry. 3, 4. All right, so that's kind of a tricky phrase there, and it takes a little bit of practice. Now we have this phrase. Let's see here. And it's all out of that similar shape again, and I'm keeping the bass the same. And I'm going to leave my ring finger down here on the second fret on the G string as well. So I'm pinching string 6 and 1. And 1 is open, right? So pinch with your thumb in your middle, and now you're going to use your index and your middle to grab 2 and 3. So I've put now my pinky on the third fret B string. So I have right. So that's my phrase there. Now I'm going to lift up my pinky finger, put my index on the first fret B string. And now you can kind of see this D7 shape, like if it were here. Okay? And I'm going to do thumb pinch. right? Now I'm going to get rid of my index finger and I'm going to do thumb pinch again. And this pinch is all on strings 2 and 3. Then I'm going to hit my bass again and then my open G. Right. So it sounds like this. There you go. Okay, so that's that phrase there. Pretty cool. If I put them together, I have 3, 4. Okay, so that's how we do the intro there. Give that one a shot. Let's play it together. Real slow. 4. Very cool. Okay, let's get into that first verse. All right, let's take a look at this verse, and we're starting off in this G chord again with a bit simpler phrase than we saw in the intro. And what I'm doing is I'm just grabbing the bass in my left hand, 3rd fret, and I'm pinching with my index finger in my right hand on string 3. So I start off with this pinch, thumb on the low string, index on the 3rd string, and I'm pinching and I'm going thumb 1, thumb 1, thumb 1. And my thumb is just alternating on string 6 and 4. So pinch, thumb 1, thumb 1, thumb 1. And that whole phrase, my index, is just staying on that 3rd string. Now I have this phrase again that we saw in the intro. And we're getting into the C the same way. Right, so. But this phrase, the rest of the C phrase, is a little bit different. I'm going to put this melody note back down again with my pinky, 3rd fret high E string, and I'm going to pluck with my fingers 1 and 2 on strings 1 and 2. Right, but I'm changing the rhythm a little bit. So the rhythm in the intro was 1 and 2 and 3, 4. This is subtly different. It's going 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice the difference? It's pretty minuscule. All right, so we're in our C chord here, third measure, and I'm grabbing the bass, bass, pinch, pinch, thumb 1. Right, bass, pinch, pinch, thumb 1. Bass, pinch, pinch, thumb 1. And I'm just finishing that phrase, thumb on the bass, index on the 3rd string. All right, so now our next measure is, and what I'm doing is I'm pinching all 3 strings, thumb on string 5, index on string 2, middle on string 1, and I'm keeping the same shape in my left hand, doing a pinch, then middle finger on the high string. Now I'm going to lower my middle finger in my left hand back down to that 2nd fret on the high string, and I'm going to pinch both strings 1 and 5 again, and then get rid of my middle finger. Then it's going to play the open string. So getting rid of the middle finger means letting it go of that 2nd fret in the left hand. So we have so far. Then I'm going to put my pinky in my left hand back on this 3rd fret on the B string, and I'm going to go thumb 1. And you can do that either thumb 1 or lift up your middle finger in your right hand to grab that B string. All right, so real slow, here's that measure. Or the reason why I like to use my middle finger in my right hand on that last note is because it puts me in position to use my index finger on the G string again for the next measure. So far in the verse we have 3, 4. Now we're going back to our G chord, and we're doing the same phrase that we started off the verse with, but we're just getting rid of the pinch. I'm just going thumb, thumb, one, thumb, one, thumb, one. Now we're going to do this phrase, and it's a little bit similar than that melody we've been, a little bit different than that melody we've been singing before. And what I'm doing is I still got my bass down, 3rd fret on the low string, and I'm pinching again strings 2 and 6 with my thumb and my middle finger. I got my index here, my left hand on the 1st fret, and I get rid of that index. My middle finger plays the open B string. So it's just a variation. You can either pull off or you can hit that string again. Right? Either one. Or now I'm going to do this melody. Thumb, index, thumb, index, thumb, index. Now instead of going to the D string like I was with my index, I'm just going to hit the G string again, so twice, to end that measure. Right. That's it. Or if you want to pull off, either one works. Now we're going to finish off this half of the verse with a D7 over F sharp chord, and the phrase sounds like this. And what I'm doing is I'm moving my middle finger in my left hand back to that bass note, 2nd fret on the low string, and I'm pinching all 3 strings, 6 with my thumb, 3 with my index, 2 with my middle, and I'm hammering on this shape we saw before with the D7 over F sharp. Now I'm just going to do this, right? So I'm just going to go fingers 2, 1, 2, 1 in the same position. Then I'm going to go thumb on the low string, middle finger on the high string, open, and then this phrase. And all I'm doing is I'm putting my pinky in my left hand to the 3rd fret on the B string, and I'm hitting that bass, then middle finger on string 2. Get rid of your pinky in your left hand, middle finger goes back to fret 1, bass, middle on the B string again. Get rid of your index in your left hand, bass, middle on the open string, then bass, index finger on the open G string. Whew, that is a mouthful. Right, okay. So that's how you do that first variation of the verse. And the second variation is just slightly different. All right, let's get into the second half of that verse. All right, this second half of the verse is slightly different. There's a couple variations in here. And what we're going to do is we're going to start off with this G chord again. And all I'm doing is I'm holding the bass in my left hand, 3rd fret. And I'm not pinching with thumb and index. I'm just going to go thumb, thumb, 1, thumb, 1, thumb, 1. That's all I'm doing there. And I'm letting the G string ring out from the previous phrase, right? So it sounds like this from the last measure. Right, so that last open G is just ringing through the first beat or so of that first G chord. And now I'm going to do this walk down melody the same as I was doing. And this is where it starts to change in a significant way. We're grabbing our C chord with our pinky down on the 3rd fret, and this measure sounds like this. Nothing too crazy, but the rhythm's a little bit different. And so you kind of have to figure out when to use this measure and this other C variation I'm going to show you, because it fits better with some of his verse phrases. So that's kind of up to you which C variations you're going to use according to his phrasing, right? So it's kind of complex. So here we are, we're at this C chord, and this variation sounds like this, and I'm going thumb, pinch, thumb, 1, right? So all I'm doing is I'm hitting the bass and then pinching strings 1 and 2, index and middle, and then thumb on string 4, index on string 3, right? That's the first half. Then I'm going to pinch strings 1 and 5 again. And then thumb 1, string 4, 3, right? So I have, right, that's my phrase there. Morning box of vanilla wafers. And this changes a little bit too, this measure. Either one. And what I'm doing is I'm changing up the rhythm of this phrase too. So I'm pinching strings 1 and 5, and then I'm going to hit that melody note again with my middle finger. Now I'm going to do this phrase, bass, 2nd fret on the high string, thumb middle again, and then I get rid of my middle, bass, open string, then bass, 3rd fret on the B string, and I got to put my pinky there on that 3rd fret. And I can use thumb index or thumb middle for that last bit. Or, right, so these two variations, 2 measures of variations on the C chord can be plugged in into whatever verse you want. So that's different from the first C chord we saw. As the rhythm's just slightly different. So that's kind of tricky. But once you sing it, all you're doing is trying to get that melody to fit your phrasing. Okay, so that's how we do those 2 C chords. Now we're going to grab our G chord again, simple Travis picking pattern. Same walk down as we've seen, right? And then we're grabbing our D7 over F sharp chord, just like we saw in the first verse. Right. Right, so that's the second half of the verse, and now we have this 2 measure interlude in order to get into the chorus, and it sounds like this. And what I'm doing is I'm grabbing this G chord again that we saw in the intro with my ring grabbing the bass in my left hand and my pinky 3rd fret on the B. And now I'm going to do this phrase, thumb, thumb, pinch, pinch. Right, so thumb on 6, 4, then I'm pinching on strings 2 and 3. Right, thumb, thumb, pinch, pinch. Now I'm going to roll thumb, 1, thumb. Right, so that's my G phrase. Real slow. Now I'm going to get back into this D7 over F sharp, and I'm grabbing thumb middle on the open B string, so 2nd fret, low string again, and using my thumb middle on the B string. And then I'm going to hammer and pinch. I'm going to pinch 6 and 2, thumb and middle, and then hammer my index down on the 1st fret. And then put my ring finger, my left hand, back on that 2nd fret G string, pluck it with my index finger, my right hand. So I have. And now I finish off thumb, 1, thumb. Thumb on the bass, index on string 3, thumb on the D string. There you go. That's the rhythm. Kind of tricky. Put those two together and I have. Okay, so there you go. There's your second half of the verse right there. All right, let's get into this chorus. And what we're going to do is we're going to start off with that C again with our pinky down on the 3rd fret high E string. And this first measure of the chorus sounds like this. I can just get off of that, right? And what we're doing is we're pinching strings 5 and 1 again, thumb and middle, then thumb on string 3, index on 2, then thumb on string 5, index on string 2 again, then thumb on the G string. So basically you're having to alternate your thumb on string 5 and 3 in your right hand. Right? So that's all we're doing there. Just kind of a Travis picking pattern. And then we're going to our D chord. And we're doing a similar kind of phrase. We're pinching strings 1 and 4, thumb and middle, then thumb 1, thumb 2, thumb, pinch, thumb 1, thumb 2, thumb. Right, so we have. And now we have this semi-tricky anticipation phrase from our G to our C. Do that again. And what I'm doing is I'm grabbing this G chord, just the bass again, 3rd fret on the low string, pinching strings 2 and 6, thumb and middle. And I'm not putting anything on the B string in my left hand, just leaving that B string open. Pinch, thumb 1, thumb 1. And all I'm doing is alternating strings 4 and 3 with my thumb and index. Now I'm going to grab this lead-in note to the C chord, the 2nd fret on the A string. And then I'm going to grab a C chord, and I'm just going to pinch strings 5 and 3. So I have. Right. Oops. There we go. And I'm going to let those notes keep ringing out that pinch through beat 1 of the next measure, and then I'm going thumb 1 on strings 4 and 3, then thumb 2, thumb, middle finger on the B string. So if I put that all together, I have. Right, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4. That's our C phrase there, our G to C anticipation phrase, rather. Then we're back into our G chord. And I'm just doing that simple Travis picking pattern where you can pinch strings 6 and 3, or not, just hit the bass, either one. Pinch, thumb 1, thumb 1, thumb 1. Then I'm going to do this melody. And instead of hitting this last D string like we usually do with our index finger, we're not going to. We're just going to hit the bass. Because we're going back to a D chord. And it would sound weird if we were to double up on that bass like that. Now we're going to our D chord, just doing a simple Travis picking pattern here. Thumb, thumb 1, thumb 2, thumb, pinch. Right. So again, I'm putting my index and my middle back on strings 1 and 2. In my right hand, I'm going thumb, thumb 1, thumb 2, thumb, pinch, with strings 1 and 2. Now, this last measure is kind of tricky as I'm going thumb, pinch, thumb, pinch, thumb, pinch, thumb. And I'm doing this little D sus4 phrase on the last part of that measure where I'm putting my middle or my pinky finger on the 3rd fret high string, right? So that last measure, thumb, bass, right? Bass, pinch, bass, pinch, bass, and now I'm going to put my pinky down on the high string and then pull off my pinky, and then as I'm doing that, I'm going to alternate my thumb to the G string. Right. Right. Okay, so that's your last two measures of D sound like this. Let's do it again. 3, 4. And all I'm doing is I'm trying to line up that same melody. Land that I ain't ba ba ba. Right. 3, 4. Land I ain't ba ba ba. There we go. And that's your last two measures of the chorus. And that's basically the entire thing. Wow. That was a lot of information, people. I'm sleepy. I'm going to have to eat a sandwich, maybe take a nap, have some pie, hopefully, if there's any left around the campsite here. Whew. So, job well done. You got all the way to the end here. It's probably like a half an hour breakdown. Dang. And, again, I think the most important part is knowing when to switch those C variation chords in the verses, right? Either the second half of the verse can be applied again to another first half of the verse, or vice versa. No pun intended. What else do I have to say? I think that's it. So this is a great tune to have in the repertoire. Maybe Guy Clark's most famous one. I know a lot of you guys have been asking for more town stuff. I'm trying to get on it. It's been a busy summer. Got a lot going on. Got bands and stuff and whatnot. Trying to keep everything moving and shaking. But I promise you, I will be getting on some towns here soon. All right. Well, I think that's it. Hope you enjoy this one. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate the support. We'll see you in the next episode.